Have you ever thought about a hero who isn't just, strong and capable, but also really deeply flawed?
Yeah.
Like sickly, maybe prone to despair, almost fated for tragedy.
And maybe he's had experiences that are just beyond comprehension, like living 1,000 years of dreams in one night, making pacts with, well, demons and angels.
Exactly. And because of all that, he's constantly questioning his own sanity, his own choices.
And then his world reflects that inner turmoil, right?
Right.
It's stunningly beautiful, sure, but also deeply cruel, where perfection demands immense suffering and ancient horrors are always kind of lurking.
Well, welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take compelling source material, could be articles, books, research, notes like today, and really pull out the key insights, the surprising bits. Basically, your shortcut to getting genuinely informed.
And today, yeah, we're diving deep into Michael Moorcock's legendary anti-hero, Elric of Melniboné. We've got novel excerpts, some fascinating forewords, and even Moorcock's own essays on fantasy.
So our mission today is to really unpack Elric as a character, explore his fantastical but frankly unsettling world, look at the kind of complicated publishing journey behind the stories, and get into the philosophical ideas that make them stick with you. Okay, let's start with Elric, because he is such an unconventional protagonist, and honestly, that's a big part of the appeal.
Totally. The author, Holly Black, described it perfectly. She said, before Elric, her idea of a fantasy hero was, the classic strapping fellow rising from humble beginnings.
Oh, usual arc.
Exactly. But Elric, he was decadent, sickly, and doomed, and she says, I loved him instantly, which I think sums up a lot of people's reaction.
It really does. And that decadence, it's right there in his appearance, the milk-white hair, those moody crimson eyes, the bone-white face. It's striking.
And it goes deeper. He's described as not just suffering, but almost hungry for tragedy. It's such a stark contrast to the typical hero figure.
And the contradictions, they just keep coming. That famous line, probably a bad boyfriend, but a good king.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think Moorcock was doing there, making a hero so deliberately different? Why does that grab us?
Well, it definitely challenges that standard hero archetype, doesn't it? It forces you, I think, to think about heroism beyond just like physical strength or simple morality.
Makes sense.
And Moorcock ties Elric's internal struggles directly to his world, especially Melniboné, that ancient sort of decaying empire. You hear descriptions of the dreaming city of Imur, sounds lovely.
But then
You get these really disturbing details, like the singers whose throats have been tortured so that each may produce one perfect haunting note.
torture throws for one perfect note. That's chilling. What does it tell us about their culture?
It basically shows their core belief laid bare. A moment of perfection was worth any amount of cruelty. It reflects this dark beauty the place has. The allure comes with a terrible, often horrific price.
And that theme seems to connect directly to his sword,
Right.
Stormbringer.
Absolutely. The iconic Black Blade, it gives him immense power, keeps him alive even, but it metaphorically may eat you away from the inside.
So it's like Moorcock is constantly saying that power or beauty, it isn't inherently good. There's always this profound cost involved.
Yeah. The very things that give strength can also destroy. It's a powerful recurring idea.
It wasn't just Elric's story that was complicated. Moorcock's own process of actually getting these stories published sounds pretty wild, too.
Oh, definitely. By the early 70s, Elric was huge. Publishers were putting immense pressure on Moorcock for more stories. The only problem...
She'd already killed him off in Stormbringer.
Right, exactly. So his clever workaround was to write prequels or stories set between the events he'd already covered.
Why?
And there's another interesting bit about how the novel Elric of Melniboné actually came together. Moorcock initially planned 3 linked novellas for a new magazine, Sword-and-Sorcery.
Okay.
But the magazine got canceled before it even launched, so he was basically forced to finish them off as a single novel instead.
Wow. And the publishing headaches didn't stop there, did they? I already regretted sending that manuscript to Lancer Books.
Yeah, because they changed the title to The Dreaming City, which was super confusing because that was also the title of his very first Elric story. It just shows how chaotic publishing could be back then.
No kidding.
Yeah.
The series went through so many editions, different orders.
Right. Moorcock himself even rearranged the chronology for later omnibus collections to try and straighten it out. But beyond just the words, the visuals of Elric were hugely important. The illustrators were key.
That's a great point. It shows how collaborative fantasy world building can be. Moorcock worked so closely with Jim Cawthorne, he said it was sometimes hard put to say who had invented an image first.
incredible. And then you have Robert Gould, whose covers became iconic for so many readers. Just gorgeous work.
And later artists, too, like Steve Ellis. It really demonstrates how the art didn't just illustrate the books, it actively shaped the perception, the very creation of this fantasy world.
A real synergy there.
Okay, let's shift gears and follow Elric on some of his adventures. He often has his companion Moonglum with him.
Ah, Moonglum, the
Yeah.
practical one. He's such a great contrast to Elric's doom and gloom. He's the one worrying about money.
Huh. Yeah, telling Elric, if I had not taken the precaution of retaining some of the profits, we should be paupers now.
Exactly. And he often sees Elric's constant chasing of enemies, like Thaleb Karna, as just a surrogate for real activity, like avoiding the bigger picture.
And their travels aren't easy either. They're sneaking through places like Lormir, trying to dodge gossiping fishermen.
Right. Adds a layer of mundane reality to the epic fantasy, which is interesting. But Elric's journey is also constantly intersecting with these, well, cosmic forces, unreliable allies, powerful enemies.
Tied into that whole law versus chaos struggle that runs through Moorcock's work.
Precisely. You have these incredibly powerful beings, the Lords of Law and Chaos, manipulating things. So when Elric is in desperate need, facing Thaleb Karna's shape-shifting horrors, the Unai.
He calls on his patron god, Ariok, a lord of chaos.
He does. And what does Ariok do? Offers his blessing and just vanishes. Proves to be a damned inconstant one, as Elric puts it.
So cosmic patrons aren't exactly reliable customer support.
Not even close. But then you get these completely unexpected interventions, like Filate, the Lady of the Birds.
Yeah.
She rescues Elric and Moonglum with this unbelievable swarm of birds, eagles, robins, flamingos, everything.
Wow.
Through an ancient bargain made with Elric's ancestors. It shows this complex web of ancient pacts and cosmic favors. It's definitely not simple good versus evil.
Allegiances seem really fluid.
Incredibly fluid. You see it again when Elric meets Michelle, the sleeping sorceress in this old castle. She reveals the Thaleb Karna is plotting with Prince Umda to conquer the southern world.
And here's the twist, right? Elric serves chaos, Michelle serves law.
But they both hate the Thaleb Karna, so they team up. And Michelle's magic is terrifyingly powerful. She creates this thing called the Noose of Flesh that just absorbs Umda, the Thaleb Karna, and their whole army.
Horrifying. But even that victory doesn't bring Elric peace, does it?
No. It leads to this incredibly bleak moment. Michelle tries to comfort him, tries to show him what you most desire by making the castle look like Samoril, his lost love.
And Elric just breaks.
Completely. He began to scream, he fell to his knees in terror, saying, what he desires is dead. All Elric has is sorrow, guilt, malice, hatred. It really hits you with the question, can this kind of hero ever find peace? Or is suffering just his destiny?
That's incredibly dark. And his journey continues into darkness, taking him to Nadsokor, the city of beggars.
Ugh, Nadsokor. The descriptions are grim. A stench you can smell 10 miles away, a place where wholeness in mind, body, or spirit is just not tolerated. Total depravity.
And Elric goes there. Why?
His purpose is grim, too. To get back the stolen Ring of Kings from this King Urish who had sentenced Elric to be sacrificed to the burning god.
The Boning God, another cosmic entity.
Turns out to be Chekalak, another Lord of Chaos. But here's another twist. Chekalak was actually imprisoned by Lord Domblas, a Lord of Law. And Domblas steps in to save Elric.
Why would a Lord of Law save Elric, a servant of chaos?
Because, Domblas points out, Elric has served law at times, even unintentionally. And the cosmic balance, the equilibrium between law and chaos, needs Elric's involvement. It's all part of a much bigger game.
So these cosmic beings are playing the long game, and morality is just relative to their goals.
Seems that way. Allegiances are tools, really. Later, the Thaleb Karna tries to destroy Tanalorn, this peaceful city where Rakir the Red Archer, who used to serve chaos, found refuge.
And Elric defends it.
Yeah, using his deep knowledge of these cosmic conflicts, he summons the Gralik, who are ancient enemies of the creatures. The Thaleb Karna summons the Elenoin. It's very strategic.
But then Ariok shows up again.
He does. And he's angry that Elric got help from Donblas, the Justice Maker. He basically reasserts Chaos's claim on Elric and gives Rakir this chilling warning. Neutrality is more dangerous than side-taking.
Oof. No sitting on the fence in this universe.
Apparently not. And then, tragically, Thaleb Karna manages to kill Michelle. Her dying words are about this impending great battle between the Lords of Law and the Lords of Entropy. The stakes just keep getting higher.
This cosmic game then pulls Elric onto other planes of existence, doesn't it? He meets other heroes.
Right. After one battle, he's transported somewhere else entirely and meets Prince Coram, who has a six-fingered hand and a jeweled eye patch, quite the look, and Erikosi, this huge black giant.
And the connection is?
This is where Moorcock's concept of the Eternal Champion really comes into play. All three of them are aspects of the same man, different incarnations from different times and realities. They represent a tripled strength.
Wow. Okay. And they have a guide.
They do. Chari O'Connell, a companion to champions. He travels across time and space, apparently, and even has a winged black and white cat named Whiskers. You gotta love the details.
A winged cat. So what do they do together?
Their first task is rescuing Jahari himself from the Vanishing Tower, this castle owned by a creature called Voylodian Gagnazadiak that keeps shifting between dimensions.
How do they manage that?
They use the rune staff, this incredibly powerful artifact, to sort of anchor the tower. It's a classic quest structure, but the context is mind-bending.
It really opens things up. It shows
Yeah.
there's this vast multiverse and this recurring figure, the eternal champion Elric, Coram, Erikosi, maybe others, fighting across all these realities to maintain some kind of cosmic balance.
Exactly. It ties everything together into this epic, sprawling tapestry.
Which kind of brings us back to a fundamental question Moorcock himself tackles. Why fantasy? Why tell these kinds of stories?
Yeah, in his essay, Aspects of Fantasy, he addresses that directly. He mentions H.P. Lovecraft's view, which was pretty cynical, that modern science had basically killed wonder and heroism.
Stripped the magic away.
Right. But Moorcock argues completely the opposite. He says thinkers like Einstein and Jung have actually broadened the artist's scope, not destroyed it.
How so?
He sees fantasy as a way to reverse the real world, putting heroes in landscapes that directly mirror the inner landscape of the ordinary man. It's a tool for psychological exploration.
So not just escapism, it's about exploring the subterranean world of our own souls, as he puts it. That's a powerful idea.
It really is. And he argues fantasy is the oldest form of storytelling, and its core romantic, sensational, illuminating hasn't really changed much.
He points to recurring archetypes, right?
Mm.
From Greek myths to Arthurian legends.
To things like Amadis de Gaul, which he calls basically the first novels, these patterns just keep repeating.
And it's funny how Don Quixote made fun of those romances, kind of birthing the modern novel.
But the fantastical form just came back anyway, with Gothic novels like Walpole's The Castle of Otranto. Moorcock's point is that fantasy, even when it's looked down on, keeps returning because it taps into something fundamental in us.
A fundamental need for that kind of story.
Exactly. But he does have a specific criticism of some fantasy.
Which is?
That it doesn't grapple seriously with mortality. He insists all death is certain. The real importance lies in the meaning that we give our deaths, and of course our lives.
He uses El Cid as an example, whose legendary death gave meaning to courage. And he wanted Elric's own death to be equally meaningful.
It brings up that deep question. How does knowing death is inevitable actually give purpose to life, to struggle, to heroism?
Let's dig into Elric's mind a bit more, because his background is just wild. That Melnibonian education.
Oh yeah, the dream couches, where royalty could live 1,000 years in a single night.
What did they experience in those dreams?
Everything. Making pacts with elementals, hanging out with demons and angels, experiencing every pleasure, every terror imaginable. No pain, no pleasure went untasted.
So that explains why Elric seems so ancient despite being young. His inner world is millennia old.
Precisely. And it also explains why, as Moorcock notes, there were few sane emperors of Melniboné. The burden is immense. Elric himself would never be certain of his own sanity, nor indeed of his own moral choices.
That's a crushing weight of inherited knowledge and power. And it definitely fuels his conflict with his cousin, Yurkun.
Right, Yurkun wants the throne. And he uses this horrible device, the Mirror of Memory.
What does that do?
It steals memories, implants others, it can drive people completely mad.
Right.
Elric has this intense internal battle just to hold on to himself, to extinguish all those alien memories by repeating his own name over and over. Elric, Elric, Elric.
Wow, a fight for his very identity.
Absolutely. But then, after he beats Yukun, Elric shows him mercy. Why? Because he sees them both as victims of a game played between the lords of the higher worlds, a shared burden.
Even so, when Elric claims Stormbringer claims I am the master of the sword, there's that warning.
Yeah, from Divim Tavar, and you should fear that sword. It hammers home that question, is he mastering the power or is it mastering him?
Yeah.
Especially with sentient sword like Stormbringer.
True control versus servitude. It's always blurry with Elric. But then he makes this huge, radical choice.
A massive one. He's now sustained by Stormbringer, doesn't need the drugs anymore,
Yeah.
and he decides to leave Melniboné for a whole year. To travel the Young Kingdoms, to learn about the outside world, he believes Melniboné itself must change if she is to survive. It's stuck in its ancient, decadent ways.
And the craziest part, he leaves Yurkun, the guy who betrayed him and tried to steal his mind and charge as emperor while he's gone.
It's the ultimate test, isn't it? It shows this profound shift in Elric. From this drug-dependent, decadent ruler trapped by tradition to someone willing to risk everything, sacrifice his own comfort for a bigger understanding, maybe a new path for his entire civilization.
So, wrapping this up, we've really journeyed through a lot today. Elric, this tragic, compelling anti-hero.
The fading glory and unsettling cruelty of his empire, Melniboné.
The surprisingly messy reality of getting these stories published.
And the deeper philosophical ideas Moorcock explores about fantasy, mortality, and the human condition.
Plus the whole cosmic backdrop. The multiverse, the eternal champion, law versus chaos.
Yeah, it's vast. And Elric's personal struggle with his choices, his sanity, his loyalties, that sort, it feels like a smaller reflection of those bigger cosmic battles. It's about identity, purpose, how you handle power when the world keeps changing around you.
And Moorcock himself hints Elric is part of something even bigger, a transformation of the multiverse itself. He writes, "The threads of destiny become much tangled. The very structure of the multiverse seems about to transform itself. You have some part in this."
So our final thought for you, how does Elric's constant grappling with his own flaws, his sanity, his shifting loyalties, all while these huge cosmic forces are at play? How does that resonate with the complexities we all face trying to make choices and find our way in our own constantly shifting world?